everybody, it's Jeff Hopper with Jeffrey Cranford. We get to start a new series for you this week. It's going to be a little longer than some of our series. It's called the OR series, and everything we're going to talk about is going to create a pairing of questions for Jeff to answer. We're going to start with golf always, and then we're going to get into some matters of faith and theology like we always do.
Love it.
Turn to the Bible, see what the Bible has to say. So we're going to start right at the beginning.
Let's do it.
The question is going to be golf or no golf. About every other year, I get paired up with this guy. He's a friend of a friend who plays just enough golf to be very frustrated. And invariably, sometime during the round, he says, "Who would pay money to play this game?" Which is always funny because he just paid his money to play the game. Why in the world would anybody play golf in the first place, Jeff?
I've been asking myself that question for 35 years.
Golf or no golf?
That's right. Well, I'm assuming you're asking that, Jeff, in the context of a follower of Jesus. Now, why golf? I mean, if you don't posit God at all, golf would be any number of things that just keep your mind off the reality that you're nothing but a bag of chemicals going nowhere, no intent, no purpose, and anything that you can kind of waste your time doing is as good as any other thing.
So eat, drink, and play golf.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I mean, that's what it's about. Okay. So, but from the perspective of a recognition that we're transcendent and that there is a creator and that there is purpose in life, then you have to begin to ask that question, not just about golf, but about everything in your life that exists. This exists in my life. Should this continue to exist in my life? And I think one of the things with links, I see people drawing closer and closer to Jesus, and inevitably this comes up. Well, should I be out on the mission field? Should I be doing something other than just being out chasing a little white ball into a hole? And of course, the knee-jerk reaction could be, well, this is just like idolatry, and now I want to live for God. And yet, I think we have to ask a question: what's the purpose? Imagine this, Jeff. Imagine that we were back 2,000 years ago, during the time of the Apostle Paul, and say, for instance, the Romans were obviously in charge at this point, and say, we don't have this information, but say Paul, not in addition to doing what he did religiously, on the side enjoyed racing chariots.
Yes.
I mean to say he was a chariot racer, okay?
And
so now God's called him to reach out to the Gentiles, and say he raced those chariots, and everybody he was around was a Gentile. And then he said, oh, now I can no longer race chariots because God's called me to his purpose. And he leaves the very thing that gave him access to all these other Gentile charioteers.
Right.
Now, in looking back, you say, well, that's a ridiculous example. It's not. Golf, seen from a perspective, gives platform. As a follower of Jesus, I know at my own club, I had to make a difficult decision this last year to leave a club that I had been a member at for 14 or 15 years, and I hated it. And I never thought of it in terms of, well, God's calling me to something higher. I always saw it from the perspective that I'm losing probably 100 relationships on a day-to-day basis that I have because there's a niche community, and I have a platform into that community because golf provides that opportunity. So, is golf good or bad? It's neither.
Okay.
It's neither.
But it's a foundational question.
It is.
Let me ask you another foundational question. This one's the life foundational question. David wrote in Psalm 14:1, "The fool says in his heart, there is no God." So tell me, somebody who doesn't believe in God, are they a fool?
Are they a fool? Well, obviously, I'm not going to argue with the Bible. I've learned a long time ago not to do that. But the question is, you have to ask, and I think the deeper theological question is here, to say there is no God is very different from saying, I don't know if there is a creator or if it's an impersonal force. But to say there's no God suggests, I know everything that exists in the cosmos. And I'm telling you definitively, because I've lived on this earth for 60 years, I know definitively that there is no creative force, no intelligent creative force behind everything that we see, taste, touch, and feel. And I think that everything that we see, taste, touch, and feel came from just happenstance, or came from spontaneous combustion, or came from just, I have no idea where it came from, but I'm sure that there's no God.
No God.
I think what the Bible's saying is, clearly there's tomfoolery in saying that I know. Now, to suggest that I'm not acquainted with God, I don't know that we can know about God, those are legitimate next questions. But to close the conversation right off the bat by saying there is no God is, I think, exactly what the Bible says. It's a foolish statement.
A foolish statement. So if I'm asking God or no God, it's a legitimate thing in your mind to at least start asking the questions. If there's a God, who is he?
It starts the conversation.
Okay.
And I think anybody, and that's really fundamentally the difference between an atheist and an agnostic. An agnostic is willing to say, well, there could be something out there that I'm not aware of, but I'm not deeply persuaded. That's a beautiful thing to invite a potential agnostic to your Links Fellowship, for instance, to say, let's have a deeper conversation about, why the necessity for a God and what that God might be, and is he personal or is he not? And just philosophically, let's have the conversation. But when you close the conversation and say, no, there is no God, I really think the Bible has it right on the head there. I think that's foolishness.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, buddy.
We're going to be back next time with another couple of or questions to throw your way.